We're in Genesis 16. I love this, and it's gonna touch some other parts of life. So 15, we ended with, Elijah, do you remember? You don't remember what happened? Oh man, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham. Right? He moved it from a promise to a covenant. And I talked about that protesting prayer, wrestling with God. Right? God, it doesn't look like it's supposed to look like. I don't see what you told me I would see, and why not? It's okay to talk to the Lord that way. Wrestling with, right? Israel. We who wrestle with God. I love it. Changed Jacob's name. Jacob wrestled with the angel. Wrestled with God, right? Because he said, I saw the face of God and lived. And the Lord changed his name. I'm not letting go until you bless me. Have any of you set it in your heart? I am not letting go until you bless me. Wrestle with the Lord. And because of that, we see the Lord doesn't get mad. He doesn't get upset. He doesn't get offended. He doesn't get hurt. He doesn't say, Abraham, you don't trust me, therefore I'm going to go over here. No, he responds to Abram and makes a covenant with him and crosses between the two pieces of animal himself. Wrestle with the Lord. That's where we ended. And now we're here in 16. So if you don't mind standing for the initial reading of the word here. So, what was it that God just entered into covenant with Abraham about? He said, this is the land, and your descendants will be more numerous than the stars if you can number them. Remember? And the Lord passes through the pieces of animal, makes a covenant. He goes beyond promise, right? I talked about, you give your girlfriend a promise ring. That's a far different cry from entering into a marriage covenant, right? It's way different. So God enters into this covenant with him. And then here we are. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had bore him no children. But God, you said, and here I still am, and you're going to see here in a minute, like it may not seem like a big deal. Well, yeah, she hasn't born any children yet, but he's been in the land of Canaan for 10 years. For 10 years. How many of you have been waiting 5 minutes and you've lost it? All right. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had bore him no children, and she had an Egyptian maid whose name was Hagar. Please be seated. Princess, do you know what Sarai means? It means princess. This is a trick question. Really wasn't that tricky though. But yeah. It means princess. And Hagar, not quite so sure, but probably means like foreigner. One who ran away even. So Sarai said to Abram, now behold, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. She understands that children are a gift from the Lord. She doesn't say, oh, my body or whatever, but the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Please go into my maid. Perhaps I will obtain children through her. So this was a really normal practice in the day. So I know today we're like, oh, but this was actually very normal and something that happened quite often. I know when it comes to like sacrificing Isaac, we're like, oh, I would never. But in that day, that was a very common practice. So it wouldn't be outrageous to think that something like this was happening. So your maidservant would have a child, and that servant would be as good as yours. Right? It's even in the law, it says that if you have a servant and they have children, they could be set free, but the children stay with you. So Sarai is thinking, well, maybe I'll be built up even. I'll be built up through her. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. After Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan. Abram's wife Sarai took Hagar and the Egyptian, her maid, and gave her to her husband, Abram, as his wife. Again, 10 years. So this walk that Abram's been doing, right? He was 75 years old when he finally began to be obedient. He traveled down into Egypt and then came back out. So it's been a while that he's been hearing from the Lord. And it would appear that might have been a pretty short trip, going down to Egypt and coming back and all that. It would seem like he's been in Canaan for quite a while. This covenant happened quite a while ago and still nothing. So it's not like it happened 5 minutes ago and they're wondering what's going on. Now here's an interesting thing. This parallels a particular account in the Bible. This parallels Genesis chapter 3. So Sarai enters into the same sin that Eve entered into. It's the same motivation that Eve entered into. Abram, you could even say, entered into the same sin pattern that Adam entered into. It's interesting. So God put Adam on the planet, and you know what the first thing that God tells Adam to do? Does anybody know? Name the animals. Begin to put order and name the creation. Co-labor with me, co-create with me. Name the animals, and the names that you give them, the trick that Eve fell prey to, right? The Satan, he shows her the fruit, and it will make you wise like God. She saw that it would be good for food, and it would make her wise. So she eats of it, and then she gives it to her husband, and he eats of it too. Well, the thing she thought was, I can obtain the wisdom of God. That's what Sarai's doing right here. She's not disbelieving God, but she's thinking, well, maybe God doesn't know what he's doing. So if I do this makes sense, and I can use human reason and wisdom and get what I want. How many of us are there? God's been promising us something. It doesn't look like what we think it should. We've been waiting a long time and it hasn't manifested. Or maybe you started out at the bottom. And you thought you would start out at the top. That's not how it works. So then it didn't look like what you thought. So you entered into you outwised God. He's holding something from me, and I know a better way. And then Abram says, you know what? I can order these things. I can take control and I can place order because I've been put here as a man to control. Now, I love it because they did learn that Sarai is an important part of the equation. Remember, like the Pharaoh, God struck the Pharaoh because of his wife, Sarai. So they learned that lesson. But Sarai thinks, well, okay, so now my wisdom maybe it's my plan that will bring it forth. And what happens? It's the illegitimate. It's not the promise. It's not the promised seed. It's not the one. And then just like, it's very interesting, because let's read it just a second here forward. He went into Hagar, and she conceived, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her sight. So, look, it didn't work out the way they would thought. Just like Adam and Eve, they ate from the... Man, it didn't work out like we thought. Now we're afraid. We're running and hiding. We realize, oh my God, we're naked. It didn't go the way we thought it would go. Now, she's upset because Hagar conceived and now she's puffy-chested. Looking down on, like, you couldn't do it. Took one time, bam. Like, it's just the same prideful thing. And that's where we get, like, that's where this is a lesson to learn. Again, it touches the life, every part of our life, because we've all been there. We've all done it. I've done it. Man. You got to be careful, like, who you exalt. You know, Paul tells Timothy, like, don't lay hands too quickly on somebody and raise them up as a leader. And some of you may think that means, well, don't lay hands on them because you'll get a demon. That's not what that means. Actually, Paul is talking to Timothy as a leader and as a pastor of a church. Ephesus, actually. And he says, don't raise up leaders too quickly because their sin will be on your head. And I've seen it where you raise somebody up and then they get puffy. And they forget you're the one that raised them up. And the next thing you know, they think they should be at some place. And that's what happened here, right? The next thing you know, she thinks she's supposed to be the mother of the promise. No, you're not the mother of the promise. It was a mistake from the beginning. But look what happens, man. Then Sarai gets upset with Abram because now she's despising him. And it's just like the garden. Turmoil and trouble comes. Man, I'm telling you right now, if God's speaking to you and you think you've got more wisdom than God, so you shift it and you do something else, this is what's going to come from it. It may even look good for a minute, but turmoil and trouble will come your way. Like, here, the reality is that God spoke something to you and you're waiting on it, and then you get there and the land's full and there's a drought and famine and all that, and it doesn't look like what you think it should look like. Be blessed, because if it looks like what you think it should look like, it's trouble. It's no good, man. Because your wisest wisdom is foolishness next to God. You haven't yet been ripened and prepared, and you haven't yet had the toil and trouble. You haven't yet been humbled enough, cultivated enough to step into that position. So God's keeping you by keeping you from it. Because He knows if He lets you go right into it, man, you're not ready for it, right? If David would have become king at 17 years old, he wouldn't be the great King David. He would have been another one of the ones that fell prey, that lost it, that gave, like, what's one of the kings that, I can't think of any of them. There's so many of them, right? Well, Solomon was a great king for a long time, but he did fall prey. There's some of the other ones, like, I don't know. Huh? Manasseh, thank you. Yeah. So He's keeping you, and you think that you've got a better way. That's because Satan's showing you the apple. Or Sarai's saying, I got this maid over here. The whole time, Abram just knows that God made a covenant with him and promised him that he's going to have descendants. Let's get on with it, man. We're going to see. He was 86 years old when Ishmael was born. It's like, man, I don't have time to fool around with this. You told me I'm going to have more descendants than the stars in that. What? So it all made sense to them, but what ends up happening out of it is crazy. Sarai says to Abram, may the wrong you done to me be upon you. Wait, what? Now here's something, man. Look, she even says, I gave my maid into your arms. But when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her sight. May the Lord judge between you and me. Now, I want you to hear this. This is a gift from God. If everything is always somebody else's fault, you have not yet been humble. I promise you, I don't care how wrong the wrong is towards you, you've got a part in it. If you're only ever pointing fingers, you can never grow. If you're only ever accusing other people and you're never examining and searching yourself at what role you may have played in. Look, it might be that somebody has taken advantage of you, but did you let them? Did you know better? But you were being ruled and moved by something else? Could you have responded different when somebody said something to you and it escalated? Maybe they took it too far, but did you? I bless my mother and my stepfather. I watched my mother poke and poke and poke and poke, man, until the man would blow up. And it was like, you should have walked away. That happened to me recently. I should have hung up the phone. I should have hung up the phone, and I didn't. And I learned a lesson. Sometimes you got to hang up the phone. My fault. I should have hung up the phone. I should have walked away. I should have stopped. I should have taken a breath. I should have walked. I had the ability, and it's my fault. You know, Dr. Tom and I were talking about something that's been happening, and it's like, I could say, they keep doing this. But the reality is as a leader here, I dropped the ball. I didn't train. I didn't instruct. I didn't keep, I didn't take the chief executive repeater role like I should have, and I allowed it to get somewhere. So at the end of the day, it's my fault. Now, the beauty of it is I can take a breath. In this particular situation, I can fix it. I can take a different direction, and I can begin to do the right thing. And some of you are probably in that position right now. Under the sound of my voice, there is a situation in your life where this is making complete sense to you. And you are not a victim. Stop playing the victim. Stop playing the victim. Take control. Stop pointing fingers at everybody else. Maybe it's you need to get yourself out of the situation. Get yourself out. If they keep doing it and you keep letting them do it, it's not their fault, right? I quoted the guy that wrote The Alchemist. A mistake made more than once is a decision. So because I'm not just going to talk about it, but it's look, a mistake made more than once. Now you know better, and you keep allowing it to happen. It just creates, like, getting back to this. It just creates. May the wrong you've done to me be upon you. They both had a play in it, right? They both did. And Abraham, he's a man of God. He said, this is the same thing. Genesis chapter 3, verse 17. I'm going to read it real fast. Let me go here. Actually, I'm going to read a little bit of Genesis 3. The Lord called to the man and said to him, "Where are you?" He said, "I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself." And he said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you not to eat?" The man said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me from the tree, and I ate." Oh, come on. This is still going on, though. I do it, you do it, we do it. This is still happening. These things were written for our instruction. The Lord said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed are you more than all the cattle, and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you will go, and dust you will eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise you on the head, and you shall bruise him on the heel." To the woman he said, "I will greatly multiply your pain in childbirth. In pain you will bring forth children." He multiplied Sarai's pain in childbirth. If she would have just been patient, she would have had her beautiful son. Now she's got Ishmael she's got to deal with, and Hagar for like ever. Yet your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. Then to Adam he said, "Because you have listened to the voice of your wife." Men, you should listen to your wives at times. But you know who you should listen to before? You know whose voice should be louder to you? The Lord. I mean, where was Adam anyway? I mean, there's so much here, right? Men, lead your homes. And if you know the Lord is speaking it, put your foot down. Women, if your husband is confident that he's hearing from the Lord, support him. Because if you don't, you're going to get trouble. I can tell you right now, if he's wrong, but he's doing it in good faith to follow the Lord, there will be covering on you. And for those of you that aren't married yet, receive it as wisdom going forward. I've watched it in my life. My wife has let me be wrong, and the Lord has corrected me. If she would have tried to correct me, it wouldn't have been good. Don't offer your husband something that you know it's going to make you mad if he takes it. You know deep in your heart, like, I don't want it. And then you hear, like, no, stop doing that. It might be a cookie, but, it may not be Hagar. But you get the point, right? And it happens. Hey, is it okay if I go out with Denny and go fishing? Sure. Knowing that you don't want him to go fishing with Denny. And then when he gets home, you're going to be mad about it. Every part of life. There's wisdom in this book. Not the wisdom of the fruit. Not the wisdom that makes you think you can be God. But the wisdom of God. It creates all this strife. But Abram had said to Sarai, "Behold, your maid is in your power." So now what's Abram going to try to do? Wash and say, you deal with it. Men, come on now. This is marital advice right here. When I got with Tabitha, I'm going to share some personal, is this okay? So she's like the middle child. She had a brother that, was disabled growing up, and a little brother. And I think it seemed to me when I got with her that a lot of her family seemed to take advantage of her, bully her, and push her around. And then I came into the scene, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I can be a little confronting at times. So I didn't allow that to happen to her. Protected her. And I did that for years. And then I became a Christian and thought I was supposed to let people walk on me. And we had a family member move with us. And this family member, her family, entered into that like pushing her. And trying to be a good Christian, I didn't defend her. And she said to me one day, like, where are you? You've always defended me. And now I feel like I'm out here on my own. And I said, fair enough. And that didn't happen again, did it? That was it. Men, stick up for your wives. Man, they're your wives. You've entered into a covenant with them. You said you'd be there for them, that you'd protect them. If your covenant was anything like mine, that was part of it. Behold, your maid is in your power. Do with her what is good in your sight. So Sarai treated her harshly, and she fled from her presence. So she didn't handle it well. You know why? Because she wasn't equipped and anointed to walk in the man's position. And that's happening today, right? And it's interesting because women don't want men to lead them strong because of this whole women's whatever thing, right? I've seen it in some personal relationships. Women want to take the place that they can't handle and can't take. And then you got a man that is flaccid and allows it to happen. And then the next thing you know, that woman is overwhelmed because she can't handle that spot. And she doesn't trust her husband because he's not leading strong. Got to lead. That doesn't make sense to you. That's because you haven't not yet had the revelation. Because you haven't yet, And it's hard too because we have. Interesting thing with Adam and Eve is like Eve didn't have a father growing up that mistreated her or a bad husband or any of that stuff. So don't think that that's why you're doing it. It's just because that's in you. Sin is crouching at the door and its desire is for you. But you can master it. You can master it. Sarai treats her harshly. Yes. I'm going to stop there. Sin is crouching at the door, and its desire is for you. And you can master it. I think I said a lot tonight. Trust in the Lord. Don't look. I know some of you have been waiting a long time. Some of you have been waiting a short time. Don't give in. My real father, he gave me a piece of advice one time, and it stuck with me. He never gave me really good advice, I can tell you that. But this was actually really good. And I don't know if maybe you've heard this. I had never heard it before. I'd always heard the grass is always greener on the other side, right? And he said that to me. The grass is always greener on the other side, but you still have to mow it. Wow, that's pretty good. So it may look green on the other side. Half the time when it's greener, it's harder to mow. So don't be fooled. If you heard the Lord, men, put your foot down. Women, if you heard the Lord, don't be tricked in thinking that there's a better way to go. Stay the course. I mean, that's true for all of us, right? To stay the course. One foot in front of the other. I can tell you right now, things that come quick and easy, that's all they are. They're quick and easy. They burn up like nothing. They don't last.